Welcome to the War Eagle Radio Network for Talons Out Live with head coach Adam Dolan. Talons Out Live takes you in-depth and behind the scenes of the West Carroll War Eagles with stats, comments, and a breakdown of the previous game, plus a look ahead in the schedule. We'll sit down weekly with special guests, players, administration, and the coaches for a look into the locker room. This is Talons Out Live. Welcome, one and all, to the War Eagle Radio Network, Talons Out Live, with Coach Adam Dolan. So a little bit delayed tonight, but nevertheless, we are here ready to rock and roll. Got myself, got Adam Welch, Coach Dolan, ready to rock and roll. Adam Welch, how are you tonight, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're ready to get things rolling and ready to rock and roll with this delayed episode of Talons Out. We didn't want to go up against the junior high ball game last night. They come away with a victory, so that was good. I went there to check that out myself and enjoyed the play for the youngsters out there. But and then Coach Dolan, how are you, my friend?
I'm all right. How are y'all doing?
Doing good. I know you had. Did you get the youngsters fed there tonight? I know you had had a little dinner for the boys.
The Atwood Church of Christ fed not just us, but fed a lot of our teams and organizations tonight. We had about 100 people in there in the cafeteria, and it was a good night, fellowship, devotion. They did a great job. Food was good. All the kids had a good time, and it was great. They did it last year, and hopefully we'll continue to do that.
Well, that's good. So I had a few people text me like, "Where's it at? Where's it at?" I was like, "He's coming. Just calm down. We're gonna get there." But
we had that going on tonight. We had a home volleyball game. And of course, Tuesday is our big work day of the week, our longest practice. So it's been a long day, but a productive day.
That's good. That's good. At least you got some things taken care of, got some things handled. Well, let's just jump right into it. I mean, from wind to rain to absolute muddy conditions, that's probably one for the ages on Friday night. I don't know that as far as us is on the broadcast side of the situation, I don't know that we've ever been part of anything like that. So, it was interesting to say the least all the way around. So I guess, Coach, just kind of give us your initial overview and your initial thoughts of looking back at Friday night.
Yeah, I know those kind of games they're a lot harder on the fans and the spectators than they are the players once the game gets going. As a player myself, I played in a couple games like that. I've coached in several. Actually, after the first quarter kind of really rolled through, it didn't really rain, and it was humid. That was the biggest thing is we got tired. We'll get into that. It was humid down there. I've coached in several games where it was really, really muddy, a lot of water standing, but their field was in great shape under the circumstances. Like, it didn't have a lot of issues. That was as clean a football game as far as ball handling, fumbles, drops, whatever, bad snaps, center exchanges, as I've seen and coached in a game to where all the balls are wet, all the players' towels are wet, their hands are muddy. It was very clean. Perry County, told the kids this, they had 13 turnovers in 3 games before they played us. That's why they were 0-3. A lot of people probably didn't realize, this Perry County, it's 0-3. No, I really want to tell our guys, like, they're a fine 0-3 team if there's such a thing. But their head coach has done a good job there the last couple of years. He's a really good guy. He's helped us with some film back in the past. He's a really good coach. He's a really good guy. And those guys fought their butts off the entire night. They deserved to win that game. We were able to, take advantage of things at the end and get it. But, what a crazy game, up 3 scores, going down almost probably, go up 3 touchdowns at halftime, probably would have took the life out of them. Gave them everything they wanted in the first half. Could have been a running clock, kind of our goal. We wanted to get a running clock in the first half. We had it right there, and then you turn around the fourth quarter, we're trailing. Wild game, to say the least.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy, from the get go. And like you said, it was looking like it was going to be just the next best thing since sliced bread as far as the score win, as far as things were going, and it just seemed like it kind of started kind of going Perry County's way there for a little while in the middle of that game.
You did. Um, Looking at the stat sheet is so deceiving. Like, we only ran 31 offensive plays. That's the least amount in my coaching career on being a head coach, a coordinator on either side of the ball, position coach when I was really young. Never seen that few of plays ran in a football game before on the offensive side, and we had over 500 yards of offense. We talked about it all week. Perry County's best attribute on their offense is their best defense. We ran 3 plays in the third quarter. Actually, 4. I'm sorry. We ran 4 plays in the third quarter alone. That's it. We didn't have the ball. We didn't score in the third quarter. And that drive and then the drive right before halftime is the only time they stopped us. So that you can tell they spent a lot of time on their offense. It's a great equalizer because you just don't. They eat up a lot of clock. You don't have the ball very long, and we knew that going into it. And we handled their first 4 possessions not bad at all. We got a turnover, got a stop. We gave them a 4th and 6. We jumped off sides, made it 4th and 1. They got a conversion. They scored on that drive, and then we got another stop. So started off really well, like you said. Could have very easily been a quick night, quick game, but I give them a lot of credit for fighting back. We got in an issue with our defense. We got some people tired and gassed, getting double teamed, triple teamed. Some of our big linemen. I mean, that's a tough game. You're getting hit by 2 or 3 people every play, and it wears you out. And we had to, sub in some people that hadn't practiced a ton in those situations, that were probably not physically ready. Just in the situation we're in with 19 or 20 guys dressed the other night. So they took advantage of it, and we couldn't get enough stops at the end, couldn't get enough things changed, and that's on us as coaches. Definitely, that's on me on that side of the football for sure. We take a lot of pride in stopping the run, and we didn't. I mean, and not that they had a lot of big long runs, but it was one of those 1,000 cuts by paper, whatever it's called, paper cuts to get you in the long run, and it's kind of what they were trying to do. But luckily we had enough in the arsenal on offense to get through it. But very strange game in the sense that we were coming out first 3 or 4 drives good, and then an hour later it's a whole different story.
Do you feel like it was a situation of where they kind of paid attention and learned what we were doing and made their own adjustments?
Kids heard this, coaches heard this. Styles make fights, styles make football games too. Their offensive style gets you kind of in those situations sometimes. You cannot replicate what they do in practice. First of all, we have a bad problem right now with not having enough able bodies to actually line up another team's offense and run those plays at our guys, having, all our scout team. We're having a bad problem with that. We haven't been able to do it in a long time. So when our defense doesn't get a great look week in, week out, you fall back on, well, there's not a whole lot of stuff you can do. You don't have a lot of things that you're going to try to go and do. So, we do what we do kind of thing. And yes, they had some things that put us in binds, and it was hard for us. But, it's a big deal when you can't replicate that in any form or fashion. It's really hard. That offense, no one is going to replicate that offense around you. No one runs that offense on this side of the Tennessee River in this part of the state. Nobody. And on that side of the state, you get it some. It's kind of, there's teams that run that stuff, and it's really hard to coach against for teenagers because they never see it. They never see it on TV. They've never probably played in it, coached against, or played against it, and it's really hard because it goes against a lot of things that you're taught. You can't blitz it from a defensive point of view because there's no gaps. They're foot to foot, the shoulder pad to shoulder pad. So that is not always an answer. You have to align differently. Well, we don't carry a ton of those in there because we don't get a chance to run a lot, run that a lot. So yes and no. It was the style of them gave us a lot of fits, but they've done that to other people. The only reason they haven't been successful is because they've killed themselves with penalties and turnovers. They didn't do that against us, so they had some success. When they got behind the sticks a few times, we got them off the field. So it's one of those things. The worst thing that can happen for that offense is an incomplete pass. They can't be behind the sticks. So, or like I told the kids all week, and we did it 3 times. You jump off sides and give them 5 free yards. That's like hitting a 25-yard pass for us. Like, it's a huge play. So it was a little bit of us giving them, some life in the second and third quarter, and then also just not having enough reps under our belt against that kind of offense.
Right, man, that kind of makes sense. And now that you say that, I remember noticing that they had a really really tight formation. A lot of times before the snaps in that offense, and it was definitely something different that we hadn't seen. Adam, let's take a look at some of those stats and kind of see. And if you want to take it in, kind of a tale of two halves or something, just whichever way you want to take a look at some of those stats, we'll see what we got.
All right. Rushing first downs for West Carroll, they had 14. 14 first downs total in the contest compared to Perry County's 24. Another thing I look at, rushing yards, West Carroll 26 carries for 473 yards, Perry County 66 carries for 367 yards. Passing yards, West Carroll 64, Perry County 0. Ben Pruitt 2 out of 5 in the air, no interceptions. Perry County, their quarterback was 0 of 2 with 1 interception, with that interception being Jaden Milton for West Carroll late in the fourth quarter, which was a turning point that kind of finished it off and sealed the deal for West Carroll. You look at the time of possession, Perry County 36 minutes and 29 seconds, West Carroll 21 minutes and 34 seconds. Individual leaders, rushing stats for West Carroll, Jaden Milton, 20 carries for 406 yards and 5 touchdowns. He averaged 20.3 yards a carry. Ben Pruitt, 5 carries for 46 yards and 1 TD with a long of 20. And Zach Fowler, 1 carry for 21 yards for West Carroll. For Perry County, Zane Knoll, 28 carries for 198 yards. Josh Jones, 24 carries for 125 yards. Nate Mathis, 10 carries for 29 yards. And Aiden Flowers, 1 carry for 13 yards. As I said, Zane Knoll, 0 of 2, throwing the football with 1 interception. Receiving stats for West Carroll, Qmarion Patterson with 1 huge catch inside a minute for 55 yards, which was a touchdown pass, and Zach Fowler 1 catch for 9 yards. First question I've got out of the gate is the great start to the game. Jaden Milton, talk about the play, coach, 60-yard touchdown run to set the tone early.
Well, the first thing is that run by Zach Fowler that counted as a run is actually a pass. It looks like a run, but it's actually Ben pitches it forward, but whatever. It's a little thing. That's okay. I need to talk to Don about that. No, it's all good. Those little fly sweeps are actually passes. We pitch the ball forward instead of hand it off. I'm sure Ben would love to have that on the stat sheet, not go down for Zach having a rush. We do that just because if you drop it, it's incomplete, and if you bobble it and you hand it off, it's a fumble. You could lose it, but it's an incomplete pass if you just drop it because you pitched. Anyway, no, Jaden. I mean, first play we throw a bubble out there to Fowler, and we have a numbering system that our guys know out there and a blocking scheme, and everyone was on the same page, and we counted it up, and believe it or not, we call it. They only had 2.5 over 3, and that's a football term. I know there's not such a thing as person and a half, but in blocking schemes and angles, it is, and we're able to flip that out there and get 9 yards, and then next play, we're able to gash it for 60. So we knew that we were probably going to get some big plays in the run game, just because of what we saw on film. But we're going to have a very good chance. Let's just say that if we would execute, and we left some things on the table too. I mean, there was a couple plays when you look back on the film that we were a block away or a missed assignment away, and somewhere either at receiver or definitely on the O line on a couple of those carries, Jaden probably goes for over 500. So just little things like that. But yeah, Jaden, unbelievable unbelievable effort on a lot of those runs, but also, that first touchdown run, no one touched him. You don't go 60 a lot of times without getting touched, and we were able to get it blocked up. He made a good cut, and off we go. But one thing with Jaden, getting all those yards and stuff, which, really, really, really good football player to say the least, doing a great job of protecting the football. The most important play in football is the next play, and us having football to run the next play is the most important thing. Done a great job protecting the football this season, making great cuts with vision off of our blocks. But for the first time in a couple of years here, our running backs are in sync with our linemen, like knowing exactly where they're going to be, cutting off certain blocks a certain way. Sometimes it, like let's just say like we had that one holding penalty very early. It might have been the second play before Jaden scores, and it was one of those calls by a referee that was like it could have been a hold. Not really a hold, but it kind of looked like a hold, but it really wasn't a hold. And Jaden saw it a little bit. If he would have saw that, he could have got his foot cut inside, would have made Amari right on his block, and he probably goes and scores. And that doesn't get called back for, a holding. It goes for 70 yards instead of 60 yards in the next play. So it's one of those things, or two plays later. It's the O-line and the running backs, they work in unison a lot of times, especially in our zone scheme. We run a lot of inside and outside zone to where, our offensive linemen make the running back correct and our running back makes them correct in ways. So a lot of tandem work, a lot of work that we do, making sure they're cutting off that. But as far as the last couple of years, our receivers on the perimeter had the best game and best effort in blocking that I've seen in a long time. Kamarion Patterson and Zach Fowler and Jace Hammond, Eli Travelstead, and then when Mason was out there some, and just a lot of great effort, a lot of attention to detail on how you go out there and stalk block with all that space. Q made some great blocks in the perimeter that sprung some big plays, and we had other guys too, like Jace and Zach always do a good job in the run game too. Our guys are taking it very serious. They take it; it's a point of pride. Go out there and block, even though you're a skill guy, and of course you want the ball. But if you don't block, you don't get the rock kind of mindset. We got to have those. You want to, you can have an 18-yard run, but if you want a 68-yard run, you're going to have some receivers blocking downfield. And we've had a great season with that so far. Another night was a lot of good film, of guys doing that. Very proud of the effort that we had from people. So going forward, if we can keep that up, I mean, all our running backs, we got Zach Haynes and Mason Taylor. They haven't gotten a ton of reps at that yet, but their day's going to come, and all those guys are doing a good job for each other in their roles as blocking or whatever it may be.
Talk a little bit about your defense, the resiliency, and how tough it was for them. They were out on the field a lot with time of possession for Perry County, 36 minutes. Perry County had 4 drives that lasted 5 minutes plus in the game. They had a 13-play drive for 65 yards, a 12-play drive for 65 yards, and 11-play drive for 51 yards. Talk about them and how they, their resiliency and to hold the fort down.
Oh, well, resiliency is a good word, but emotional stability. There have been a lot of times in the not so distant past that there would have been a lot of negative body language, a lot of negative attitudes and comments and just things, ducking of the head when things were not going our way because we didn't have a lot of answers there. It was just, we got to survive the storm. They're not going to stop us. We just got to get a stop. Well, the stop wasn't necessarily stopping touchdown. It was actually stopping a 2-point conversion. That changed the entire dynamic when we were able to get a stop on a 2-point play.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 of them. So that kept it to where it was going to be an issue. If we could get back up, we could maybe get it back to 7 and have a chance to win it if we can stop them again on the 2-point. I don't know what some of the folks thought. The people that braved the weather and come down, I'm very appreciative of the people that came down and watched the game in person. That's awesome. I know the weather made it to where most people probably watched the broadcast, which is awesome too. Probably a lot of people were very surprised that we onside kicked after a personal foul penalty that we addressed. We took care of that. we onside kicked it from our own 25. And well, we did that because this is just how it goes sometimes. We were probably going to lose the game if we would have kicked it deep.
Yeah.
Because they were going to have the ball the entire time, and we were not going to stop them.
Right.
And I hate to be like that, but we were not going to stop them. They would have ran the clock out and win the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say we tried to let them score, but if they were going to score, it was going to be the most amount of time on the clock because I knew we were going to go score. They hadn't stopped us. The only time that we had stopped ourselves on some things. So it was, please leave us a little bit of time, and we can make you pay for it. And it worked out in that favor. Thank God it did because the guy. I mean, of course you can get an onside kick there too, but they were in there tight, and it was going to be tough to get it, but it served its purpose because the clock didn't get ran out. We kicked that deep, we lose that game.
Yeah. Did you feel like late in the game when Zach Fowler went out there for 3 or 4 plays at least with
yeah, he didn't come back in.
Okay, I didn't think so. When he went out, did you feel like once your defense, they step up late, Jaden Milton with the interception, and they made the plays when they needed to in the last 2 minutes?
Yeah, I mean,
and hang on before you answer that deal, as well. It has been approved that we can speak on behalf of Zach Fowler. So if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about kind of what they found out today, and kind of going forward, and then as same with Adam's question there as well.
Yeah, I mean, with Zach first coming out of the game, I mean, that's a big loss. I mean, Zach plays every snap of the football game. I mean, we rest him, just like we try to get a couple plays off to most of our guys here and there. He plays important positions for us. I mean, he's all over the field on offense. He's our leading receiver. He's played quarterback. He does a great job blocking. He can run it when he needs to. Then also, on defense, he plays a very critical role in the back end, calling out coverages when we got to make checks and, moving them around and doing a lot of stuff. And when, him or any one of those guys like him that play so much on both sides of the ball, when they go out, it's musical chairs for us right now. We got to pull pieces from here and plug another guy here. And I wish it was as simple as saying, well, this guy's out, one guy comes in and you keep him, you rock and roll. Well, it's not that easy right now. You're playing musical chairs and you're robbing Peter to pay Paul when it comes to certain positions. And we had some guys step up. Ben had to go back out there and play some snaps at the end. And, we had some guys just fighting and holding on, and we had to kick some people into other places. Keegan Migler had to go play corner at the end of the game, and he's still relatively new to football and getting his feet wet. Literally the other night, and just a lot of people had to play roles. I mean, Noah Sassini, Jaden Sassini, those guys hadn't played a ton of football, and they were in there trying to give their best. And Trenton Kirby, and Caleb Vermillion, Cole Mueller, all those guys that you don't hear their name a lot. In the future you will, because they're young right now and still getting that experience and get better in the weight room and everything. But a lot of guys helped us contribute to that win the other night that didn't show up in the stat sheet. And Zach had a run and a catch for not a lot of yards and went out of the game. But there's a lot. I mean, if you watch the film, you see some great blocks on the perimeter on some big long runs that they don't go in the stat sheet, but when you see it from the coaching point of view and you see it, like it adds up. And that's the thing that, you miss when he's out, you miss that Swiss Army knife kind of thing right now. And then, yeah, he's, he's a little banged up right now. Got a upper body injury. We'll leave it there. And he's going to be out this week, but it's not a bad thing. It could be a blessing. He's going to get the rest of those legs up and everything. And next week we're on the bye and he'll be ready to rock and roll against McEwen.
Talk a little bit, Coach, we've talked a little bit about your defense. We've talked a little bit about your offense, but talk about Qmarion Patterson and his catch he made late. Talk about the play a little bit. And did you feel like you caught him off guard, maybe Perry County a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we did. And that's a funny story. And I told the kids this. I'll get to that in a minute. But, I'm so proud of Q. We run a route earlier in the game. He's open. He drops a touchdown. No one's harder on himself in that situation than him. And there for a little while, it's all of us, players and coaches alike, trying to keep his head in there. Don't get frustrated. And it's other people like that too that take it very seriously. And, of course, he didn't go out there trying to drop the football. Of course not. But Q's a weapon for us. Q's very fast. There's very few weeks that, he's not going to go out there and be one of the fastest or the fastest guy on the field. And, we've got to use him. And I had no doubt at the end of the day, at the end of the game, that we were going to give him another opportunity. I don't know if he thought he was going to get another one, but I knew we were going to sooner or later going to have to throw the football. And he was going to be the one we were going to throw it to in that situation, especially with Zach out. We've got to throw the ball to Q and give him another chance. And he's made so much progress on both sides of football from last year to this year as a junior, leaps and bounds better, unbelievably stronger than he was last year. He's taking great care of the body. And the most thing I'm most proud with is, 2 weeks ago, he missed almost half the game with heat-related stuff. He played every snap of the football game in a human situation. And that's 2 weeks of progress. And he's never done that. He's never been able to do that. He's very, muscular, doesn't have a lot of, bad weight on him. And, those guys cramp a lot. He's got some issues and with that. And a lot of people do when you're, genetically built like him. And you get that. And he's worked hard for that not to be an issue anymore. And so proud of him. Knew he was, we threw it for a reason. I had a feeling that he was going to be open. He's going to catch it and go score. So it was interesting that play before Jaden gets a first down, great effort, drags two guys, gets the first down out of bounds. He's over there, sliding in safe to second base in the mud, take a timeout to try to, catch her breath a little bit and get her thoughts together. But just saw something where, their defensive backs their eyes were, let's just say they were in the wrong place. I thought, and they had a corner that was being very aggressive to our sideline. And, I know Jaden needed a little bit of a break there, needed a couple plays. We needed to throw it. So we were in our Wildcat package for that. And Ben went back in the backfield and, we called the play at basically something we work every day. It wasn't hard for anybody else out there. And let's just say we used Jaden as kind of a dummy route almost, or, eye candy, so to speak. And Ben pumped it and got Q loose down the sideline. But the thing is, we were playing the game, so to speak. I was kind of saying, I told Jaden, don't listen to me. I don't even know if he remembers this. He was tired. It's like, don't listen to what I'm saying. Just run the bubble. Okay, whatever. I kind of was telling out loud that we were throwing the ball to him, get out of bounds, stop the clock when you catch it, do all this. And when Ben pumped it, everybody and their mother came, hauling over there to tackle Jaden, thinking he was going to get the football and, left Q wide open. But, Ben got his feet set, got a great pump fake, and, that opened it up for sure.
Talk a bit about going forward now to the coming week with Houston County coming in for homecoming, an important region game. Talk about your three keys of what you've got to do.
Houston County, a much improved football team. They were very young last year. We were in a fight with them last year at their place. It's going to be another fight. They got one loss on the season to a really good East Robertson team. East Robertson played in the state championship game last year in 2A. Houston County has played them better than anybody else this season. Had some success on offense. They're tough. They play real hard. They get off the bus. They don't wow you with size or, athletic ability or any of those things, but they play so hard. We saw it last year, and they play physical, and they play for each other, and it's very commendable how that staff gets those guys to play. And homecoming and all distractions come with it. I don't think that's going to be an issue, but told our kids, you win this football game, it's probably very likely it's going to be a game that decides if you get a home playoff game or not. And that's not putting the cart before the horse. It's just being honest. Like, Houston County's a good football team. If we were able to get this win, then that puts us in a seat to where you got a chance to play for the region championship again and have a home football game in playoffs, which our kids will tell you, nobody around here thought that could happen this year. losing what we did and having the numbers situations we are in. So our kids are excited for the opportunity to go out there and keep that chip on the shoulder. And, we probably on paper, people are going to say that we shouldn't beat them. But, if we do what we're supposed to do, I like our chances. As far as keys,
Yeah, give me your three.
offensively, I mean, you're going to move some pieces around. I talked about Zach there for a second. That's definitely going to change things up on both sides of football. But, we've practiced in different situations where people are in and out in different packages and different personnel groups. That's actually a strength of ours. So that won't change us too much. But, missing a good player, that'll be tough. But we'll be okay with that. As far as, it comes back to us on offense. As long as we execute, like don't have pre and post snap penalties, like, false starts, offsides, delay of games, personal fouls, whatever, and turnovers. We limit the turnovers, limit the penalties on offense. We should be fine on offense. Defensively, it's can we tackle number 27, Preston Mitchell, really good player, flies under the radar in around this area in our region. He's been out the last couple of weeks. When 27's healthy on the field, he's tough. He's a good player. He didn't play against us last year. And it's going to be, can we limit him? If he has a bunch of big plays, then, that's going to be tough. But if we can keep him hemmed up and do a pretty good job of getting him down, we'll be okay. A lot of the same stuff. I think our kids are going to be better equipped to handle the things. Their defense looks just like ours. They play a version of our defense, very similar to what we do. So practicing against us and our stuff, which our kids know our stuff, it's hard to get them to learn other team stuff in just a matter of days. So that's going to lead to better practices, I hope. And then their offense, some of the ways they line up formationally and the things they run are very much what we do. So we're kind of identical in ways, They run the football. They're good at running the football. Their O-line is good as far as how they block things. Our O-line is good. We've been blocking things well this year. Defensively, they pride themselves on being, fundamentally sound, being in the right spot, having their eyes right, not having any bust or miscues before the snap, and then playing football the same as we do. So I don't say it's mirror images of each other, but there's a lot of similarities between us. So it's going to come down, do we execute on offense, no turnovers, penalties, that kind of stuff. And then defensively, just got to limit the big plays by 27 and number 20 and 16, some of their good skill players. And then special teams, can we make sure we don't lose the game in kicking? Don't get a punt block. Can we go block a punt? Can we, get some decent kick returns and get field position, or kick the football off and not give up a return for a score like we've done a couple times this year? And, just do the things that we fundamentally need to do. It's kind of the same stuff all week, every week for us. Some things change game plan wise, but, the great thing about playing a team that they have a sound scheme and they're coached pretty well and everything they do is what they're taught, how they're taught, why they're doing it, and that gives you chances to do some good things. The reason Perry County got a stop on us the third quarter the other night was giving kudos. They confused us. I give kudos to that, but they were doing something. It was very strange. And once we kind of figured it out, we didn't have any problems, but it took us a minute and we got it figured out. But these guys, we know exactly how they're going to line up and play us. And that's good, but it also is they're very good at what they do. So it's kind of a double-edged sword that way. But same stuff each week, penalties, turnovers on offense, defense, try to limit the big plays, kicking game, don't beat yourself.
Kind of a twofold question for you leading into Friday night. So we know Friday night is homecoming for us, and the first part of the question is, do you know what time the homecoming festivities start? And then the second part of the question is, we've talked about this in the past couple of years with Coach Morris on Talons Out Live. Is there some times that you feel like there is a little bit of kind of messing with their minds, the players' minds and stuff, because they're out of their normal routine. They've got all of the homecoming festivities going on, and it's like you got to get them reined back in, when it's time to play football.
Yeah, It depends on the group of kids you've got. Um, I don't know. I've seen kids and teams play really well on homecoming. I've seen the opposite. Why was that? You can't necessarily always know, but um, the biggest thing for us is don't mess with our practice routine. Not so much the day of a game. Don't mess with our practice routine. That's what I've seen here. Like 2 weeks ago, that was not a good. That wasn't the best of weeks with the practice routine. When we're out of school, it's not good for us. If we're out of school for a holiday or whatever else, staff stuff, it's not good. It limits us. It hurts us. We have time taken away from us, and that hurts us because we have a set routine that we like to do. I'm very regimented in that sort. But as far as the homecoming on Friday, we're going to start. I think I'm pretty sure homecoming festivities start at 6. So yeah, we'll have to bump our schedule up as far as what we're doing, but it not too much to where it should factor in because once that stuff ends and the kids come back in the locker room, we get ready to play. As long as it doesn't mess with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I don't think it'll be that big a problem. But I could be wrong. I just think with our group that it'll be fine. I think it should be fine. I don't think our kids are going to be too worried about it being homecoming. I think they're pretty focused on this is a very, very important region game for us. We got to keep that chip on our shoulder and keep doing, trying to prove people wrong.
All right. So, well, Adam says he don't have anything else, any other testing questions for you. You got anything else that you kind of want to talk about leading into the Houston County game?
Well, yeah, this week's a crazy long week and a lot of stuff going on. Last night, makeup middle school game. Coach Bain and those boys got it done against Brewston. And Thursday night, they're going to be back home playing a good JCS team. Another home game for our middle school squad. Seeing a lot of improvement with those guys. Very excited for them going forward. A lot of those 8th graders are going to be joining us here in just mere weeks. Helping us out in practice, and then some of them are going to get a chance to play some. It's going to be some people probably be a little worried about that, but some of them are physically able to do that some. So that'll be great for us because that's going to make us better. It's going to make them better for the future.
I'll tell you one thing. You was talking about, kind of them getting to the practice stuff. One thing that I saw last night, they was against Brewston. Man, there was at least, I know one, but at least 2 huge guys. I'm talking, they look like they were in high school. So I feel like those 8th graders have been able to go up against some folks right there, and I think that's hopefully helped them in the long run. And I mean, you could use them going up against a lot of different folks. But man, there was one guy last night on Brewston team that was just by far. He was bigger than some of your high school guys.
Oh, I walked by him. I saw him. I know exactly the one you're talking about. He was a very good size, young man for that age, and we've got guys. I'm very encouraged by what I've seen with our 8th grade group and all of them, but our 8th grade group coming up and trying to get to know them and build that relationship. And, I think some of them are probably, quietly, optimistic about that. That's kind of a cool thing as an 8th grader to get to come up and start practicing with the high school team. But I think some of them do have the ability to help us in different ways. We're limited with our skill position depth. There's some good skill players in that group, and they'll have a chance to come practice. And if they earn some playing time because how they practice, then they earn playing time. Like,
right.
I mean, it's I could care less about how old they are. Like, that doesn't matter. We got freshmen playing, we got sophomores playing. That don't matter. Like, just
right.
we're trying to win the football games. We try to win a game a week. That's what we're trying to do. So, and it only gets them ready to play high school football come spring football. When we come back to spring ball and they're about to be freshmen. So it's not a bad thing. There's only good things about it.
Yeah, I mean it's. I had my band director, Corey Bridges. He always said, "Practice don't make perfect. It's perfect practice makes perfect." And so, that'll give them that opportunity to get in there and perfect that practice time and perfect the things that you're looking to get out of them and stuff. And I think they've already kind of shown that as far as the junior high
Yeah, of
season so
course.
far.
and also them just getting comfortable of being in our locker room with some guys that are older than them, and you being comfortable. And well, one phase has changed, and they're phasing out of the middle school scene as far as that sport. They might choose to play other sports too, but and then coming to us, and then they won't be in their sixth block with us as far as the film and the weightlifting and things. But that time will come. Them learning, let's say, the basic stuff that we do on offense and defense. Well, if they learn that now, and then maybe they're ahead of the curve come spring football, and it's just
Right.
going to only enhance them. It only gets them better to be a freshman. Be a better freshman for us down the road. So it's nothing but positives. That I had a lot of good feedback talking to those guys the last couple of weeks. I'm excited about getting them up, and they still got a few games left, and I know they're itching to keep putting some wins in that column. So, and they've got a chance to do so. So very happy with those guys and Coach Bain and Coach Duggan and everybody. So looking forward to that. We got homecoming stuff, like I said. Friday night. I think that starts at 6. I'll have a pep rally Friday, the bonfire Thursday night after the middle school game. So we got a lot going on. We had a middle school softball game tonight. That was their 8th grade night. We had a home volleyball game tonight. Still we got a lot of things going on at the school, and if people get a chance, come out and support different teams. And our kids, they do pay attention to who's at the games. They look around. They like to see who's there supporting them in all the sports. So it's good to see that, and hopefully we can keep doing that. We've had some good crowds this year, looking to have a great crowd against Houston County and come out and bring more cowbells and be loud, because any support we get against them, anything that can make it a hostile environment is only going to help us. Make it a fun environment, make it a great whole deal for us. We're going to play our butts off. I think people understand that now. We got kids that are going to play hard. They're going to fight. We're not going to give up. If we get down, we're going to, whatever it could be. Proof of that was the other night. So we're going to fight. If everyone comes
You've
out,
really proved that the last 2 weeks in a row, to be honest with you. Even
yeah,
against the loss with FACS, they never gave up.
No, not at all. And people are like, well, that's the thing. You wouldn't do that. Well, have you been out there in those situations? I don't know.
Right.
You don't know that until you're out there in it. And that's the thing about football. It's like you can sit back and say that well, of course, that's expected. You're not giving up. Well, you ain't been out there getting it handed to you maybe for 2.5 hours or something like that. Like, unless you've done it and lived it and felt it, that's not an easy thing to say. So that's the thing that we talk about. Like, a lot of people, you got to go out there and we work so hard on understanding that. A lot of people don't understand what we do and how much we put into it. And those guys deserve a lot of credit. It would have been easy for a lot of our guys, seeing how many people graduated and all the, let's just say, comments that they heard in the spring and the summer and going into the school year about us not having a lot of seniors, not having a lot of players, new coaching staff, or whatever it is. You get told that by friends and people at home and family or whatever, you might decide to not do this. You don't want to be part of that. Well, we had all our guys, the ones that didn't move out of the district, they stayed and they decided to invest and buy in and fight and work. And we're starting to see some, fruits of that labor. And it's not going to get any easier. We're playing some good teams on our schedule. So, but our guys, I know we're not going to back down from that. I think they're itching to play a team like Houston County, the one that's going to try to get physical with us, and we want to get physical with them. That's kind of we're just going to go out there and try to just out physical them. And they're going to do the same to us. So it ought to be a tough physical football game for sure.
Yeah, and like I said, for Thursday night and Friday night both, we need as many people as we can get in them grandstands. Get out there, support West Carroll, support the teams. In any of those sports, and make sure that those kids know that you're there, that you're behind them, and you're cheering them on. So yeah, bring the cowbells and
more cowbells.
Make it happen. And like I said,
it'd be great to have more cowbells. I want it to be loud. I want to, have a problem communicating to my own players. That'd be great.
Right. Yeah, and then the homecoming celebration such at 6:00. So y'all come out and check that out. And like I said, if you're unable to, just we'll be ready to rock and roll with the broadcast. Hometown Grocery Deli pregame show at 6:30 and the kickoff at 7. So
no rain in sight. So that's one thing. No rain in sight. So
right, yeah. I was going to say, hopefully we don't have to deal with that the rest of the year.
Yeah, I wore 3 different pair of shoes the other night, and everyone, gloves and cleats. Our kids, still trying to get all that stuff taken care of, but it was ended up being a good night, and I'm proud of the people that braved all the weather and came out and supported us. We had a good crowd. They were very vocal and loud. And definitely cheered our boys on and encouraged them, and was still with us when things turned and it could have went south for us, but we were able to fight back. We had a lot of support, and very, very appreciative of those people coming out and supporting us, and hope to see them again this Friday.
I guess the craziest thing about that at Perry County with the rain and stuff is, the sideline was right in the mud of
Yep.
the baseball field, and I think it was Brittany Fowler shared a picture of the resiliency of the cheerleaders and stuff, and I'm like, they're gonna need new shoes because it was rough. I mean, and because your players and the cheerleaders, they were right in the mud. I mean, there was
Oh,
no
yeah.
getting around it.
No, there wasn't. The best place to be that night was on the field. Their
Right.
field, and I was surprised. I mean, they had a lot of rain like we did, and their field held up very, very well, and that was a concern, and they had a lot of concern about that too. They were worried about that, but the way that the way they said it drains there, it was okay. The interesting thing pregame was just all the fire ants,
Yeah.
dozens and dozens of fire ant heels. Very, very interesting to see that. But in that part of the state, I lived it when I was in Shelbyville coaching. Every weekend when we met, we had to go out there and walk the practice field to make sure there were no more new, ant hills, fire ant, hills, colonies, whatever you want to call them. And we had bags of that stuff that would kill it and dissolve, all that stuff. We used it all the time, but that just was a common thing up there. And they're, across that river. So maybe they have the same issues that we had when I was in Shelbyville. I'm not sure.
Right. Yeah. There was a few of them out there that was like, my goodness, there was some serious mounds
They were.
of anthills and stuff out there, but we try to stay out of them for the most part. I think we've lost Adam Welch. His phone must have croaked or something. So, but
Bedtime in
hey,
the Welch household.
good timing though, because we'll call it quits with that. But like we said, be sure that everybody gets out there both Thursday night and Friday night and cheer on your West Carroll War Eagles and your junior high War Eagles. And like I said, if you're unable to attend, Hometown Grocery Deli pregame show at 6:30 and the kickoff at 7 o'clock. So if that's all you got, we'll call it a night.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right. We appreciate Adam Welch joining us. Appreciate Coach Dolan giving us the insight. And homecoming celebrations at 6 o'clock. Hometown Grocery Deli pregame show at 6:30 and the kickoff at 7 on Friday night on the War Eagle Radio Network. So on behalf of Adam Welch, Coach Adam Dolan, I'm Jonathan Gowan, and we'll talk to you Friday nights on the War Eagle Radio Network.